Hey, this is Dale, your librarian. How you doing? This video is going to show us how to find editorial and commentary and opinion and debate and argument and stuff like that. Um, this is my email address. Reach out to me anytime because a lot of the things that I'm going to show you today sometimes depend on a lot of different synonyms and related terms that you might not be used to. So use the open web and I'll show you some tricks for doing that. But if you run stuck on anything, send me an email. This is my job. I'd love to help you. So we're going to look at editorials in newspapers and how to find opinion and things like that. If you go out to the open web, you can find a lot of opinion out there. And sometimes you can find opinion analysis, like the Pew Charitable Trust and some think tanks and things like that. But when we're doing editorial, maybe rhetorical analysis, newspapers are great because it's typically just your everyday average citizen putting some out there, see if people can see it. So in the library, you can search for opinion in the catalog if you spelled it correctly, and I can't. You can go to databases and you can see all sorts of different subjects. In all of these, you could probably find opinion, but many of them are scholarly. So if you want to find an opinion on arboreal toads and blah, 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 that'll be the next video on how to find scholarship on that. You can also go in by type if you want to look at other newspapers. We do have historical archives of like Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, New York Times, and things like that. So I'm just going to show you a general place to start with. But I have a list of databases for you under the research guides. Hopefully this link, I'll see if I can figure out how to do this in YouTube. But hopefully you won't have to put all this link in. But if you go into the communication guide, we're going to be looking at the newspapers news writing. Here I have a picture of people protesting at the mouth of Little Cottonwood Canyon about the gondola. I don't know if they're for or against. Oh, they're against gondola. That's clever. Here are the databases that I just showed you. These are my favorites, but there's probably other ones as well. So for example, if you want to get into a specific newspaper, I made a video for it. If you want to know what scholarly and academic research is, you can watch this video, which I had a lot of fun making. It's about chickens. But my favorite one to start out with is US Newsstream. In communication, by the way, in your discipline, Nexus Uni is used a lot by faculty for opinion poll and editorial and things like that gathering. It has a lot of newspapers too, so if you want to try that one out, a lot of what I'm going to show you is going to work in there too. So in US Newsstream, oh, it ruined it, what I wanted to say. So first trick, out on the open web, if you type in student debt, it's going to have like banks and like credit cards and all sorts of like things that are attached to services that they're trying to sell you. And it's looking at your cookies and your history and your IP address in academic databases, even if it's not academic stuff like newspapers. It's only the things that you type in. So if I type in students, but I accidentally spell studentia instead of students, it's only looking for those characters, and I'm only going to get 5 things. But if I type in students, unlike Google, it's only looking for those characters. So if you speak Spanish, or if you know Asian languages, or Arabic, look in the databases using those characters because it's just looking for those characters. So spelling counts. If you write studentia, if you misspell students, you'll get significantly fewer results. Let me go back. Another thing that I want to show you is if you have more than one key word. So I want to do a concept. I'm doing student debt. So if your concept is more than one word, like military spending or global warming or student debt, if you put it in quote marks, it will force the database search engine to look for those concepts stuck together. So if you don't do that, in some databases, it might choke and give you weird results. But the quotes make those two concepts stick together. So if it's just one word, you don't need that. And you'll see the things that you have highlighted. Student debt, student debt. So it's those two words stuck together. So I have 83,000 results. That's a lot to go through, right? But you can see these are newspapers. It's the Chicopee Business West. That is a lovely title. First thing I want to show you is down the left-hand side, sometimes in databases the right-hand side, there are what I call facets that you can narrow down by. So you can do publication. If you're unfamiliar with wires or regional news, those are essentially like subscription services for newspapers. So if they don't have enough to go off of, they'll just kind of grab these and put them in like little features. And you can see more regional papers. You can narrow down to Salt Lake Tribune if you want to, but that's in another video. Thing that I want to show you, first one, I have notes over here, is document type. Hello, there's an editorial. Editorial is maybe, hopefully, a credible person offering their opinion. So now we're looking at student debt, and we're only looking at editorials. And all of a sudden we have, oh, they put crisis in quotes. I think I know where they're coming from. Biden loses again on student debt. These will be people who have opinions. This is probably the lowest hanging fruit and the easiest way to go. Let me go back though. So now we're just back in student debt with 83,000 results. You might want to come up from 1982 to our current era. That's another way of narrowing down. Another one that I really want to show you if you want to expand out onto the open web, which I highly recommend, is we have company and organization. So you can see who's talking about it the most. And if it's attributed to it, you can say, well, I want to hear what the Democratic Party says about student debt. Isn't it interesting? You could. This is like data that your faculty use to analyze. The Republican Party is talking about student debt way more quantifiably than the Democrats. What's up with that? Is it part of a political rhetoric? Well, yeah, probably. But you can see maybe the Supreme Court's talking about it, the IRS, the FBI. Hummus is talking about student debt. I did not expect that one. Mar-a-Lago, I don't know what's going on with this. Sometimes this is like machine generated, and it might be a little funny. Another good one is person. Who's talking about student debt the most? And this, remember when we narrowed it into our current 5 years? It'll narrow down with you. So Joe Biden Jr., I'm guessing that's the current president. Bernie Sanders, Donald Trump, Elizabeth Warren, some of the usual faces. So here's Kamala Harris. What you can do is you could find another name of a talking point from this. So I'm going to look up, let me show you a Google trick. I'm going to do student debt and then a colon. I'm going to take that out. When you put in a colon in Google, it's saying, okay, I don't want student debt to be a keyword. I want it to be the context. So what Google will do is it'll prioritize this and look for things that have student debt, maybe in the title or something like that. You could do recipes, student debt. You could do forgiveness, student debt, and it would give you a different context. But student debt's the context. Kamala Harris is my keyword in that context. Oh, and all of a sudden, we get more rhetoric, like forgivable loans. Okay, well, let's go back and see what, so if Kamala Harris is proposing forgivable loans, that sounds like a concept. We can go back, and let me introduce you to your first operator, Boolean operator. Let's go to modify search and go to advanced search. And my continuity just gets destroyed. Okay. Oh, it's ruining everything that I want to do. So do you see this and right here? What I can say is look for everything with last 3 years, but I want to have, what did she say? Forgivable loans. I want to have everything with student debt, but forgivable loans. I want it to look for that too. And I don't necessarily want to look for it in the title. So it's looking for student debt. When it gives me those 83,000 search results, then out of those, it's going to look for forgivable loans in those. That's what the and does. Hello, there's only 31. This is great. And then you could do the same thing where you look for editorial or something like that. Property is power. That sounds like an opinion. Affordable housing. There's another one for student debt. Isn't this cool? every time you get an idea, write it down. Forgivable loans, student debt, affordable housing. Why do we want to have forgivable loans? Maybe housing costs, maybe food. Maybe you would go out to Google and say, well, what are some of the debate points? And then you could come back and look in here and start figuring it out. Oh, I didn't think about talking point. Let me show you another one. And you already saw this before. I can put in a whole bunch of other points. So student debt, 83,000, but what if I put in talking points? Talking points. Or is another operator. So if I'm not sure if it's talking points or opinion or editorial, I can say, well, try this one, then this one, then this one. So student debt and narrows it down, and the or in between those invites all of those to be in there. Let's see what else I have. Here's my whole list of other ones. So you can, these are synonyms or related terms. The or operator is great if you don't know what they're talking about. So we went from 83,000 down to 9,000. Did it give me the years that I wanted? It did give me the years that I wanted. If this is too much, I can say, okay, I want these to be in the title. So the document title. This is where we get really ultra focused. But when you have, these are producing like 10,000 articles per day into this database, so you can really narrow it down. So let's say document title for both of those. All of a sudden we have 98. That is so much more sustainable. By the way, Biden knew, say for example, this one is one that you really wanted. You can see the full text of all of these. Oh, this is like an interview. Good evening, I'm Brett Beyer. If you like this one, there's a citation generator. Most of these databases have, oh, good Lord. There you go. So you can also email yourself, save as a PDF. Look forward to my next video on how to find a scholarly article, and we'll pick up on the and the or. This is Dale, your librarian.